With Swindon Robins team manager Alun Rossiter in Alan's new pub, the South Brook. We'll talk a bit more about the pub later, Alan. First of all, Speedway season just around the corner now, just a couple more weeks to go or so, and exciting times. Let's talk about the fixtures first. They've come out. What's your initial thoughts and feelings when they came out?
Yeah, I think they're a lot more balanced this year. I think the supporters, the criticism last year was the gaps in there and people getting out of the habit of going. So we've kind of addressed that this year. So yeah, generally pleased that there is a lot more continuity this year.
Yeah, and big meetings on the bank holidays as always. Ryehouse and Paul, I see, are on the fixtures there. Also, riders were going to be riding now on Mondays and Wednesdays. Changed the days, although you've got protected Thursdays.
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange decision because there's a lot of issues creeping up now with clubs not getting priority on riders again on a Wednesday. Thursday was always the logic date, but there was an objection from the Championship with their clubs. But I'm sure if we worked together, we could have worked around it for them. A couple of Sheffield and Ipswich, I'm sure we could have worked around them. But as usual, things didn't pan out that way, and now we're starting to see a few issues creep up with the foreign clubs getting priority over riders now on some days on the Wednesday now.
Right. And with riding on Thursday still, as I say, I think the Championship are going to be riding on Thursday. Some clubs will ride on Thursdays. Is there going to be a problem with clashes for some of your riders?
No, none at all. Obviously, all the riders are owned by Elite. 5 of our riders we own. And so we get priority on them anyway. But Troy's owned by a Premiership club, and Mitchell, he's only riding in the conference. Yeah.
Okay. So your first meeting, I think, is on March the 19th, away in the Charity Shield at Bellevue. What sort of things do you need to do between now and then?
Not a lot really, just get the boys back on track, get some track time in. I'm confident that the boys will be out practising. I see a few of them already been doing some laps. Spoke to Nick recently, he's been practising in his girlfriend's dad's backyard in Australia. So, he says he's back on it. I've got a load of his engines, I'm taking up to his tuner this week. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll get a bit more feedback from the boys, but generally I've had a chat with them all and they all seem pretty raring to go.
Yeah, and I know that Troy Batchelor was up here recently in the pub. You had a big quiz with the supporters, and also Mitchell Davey come along as well. Yeah,
no, it was a good night. It seems they've relaunched the supporters club, and it seems to have captured everybody's imagination, and the turnout for the last two have been outstanding, so hopefully it's a good sign that people are looking forward to the new season anyway.
Yeah, and you mentioned you've been in touch with all the riders over the winter. I think Adam Ellis has had an operation, and of course a lot of people want to know the updates on how Zach Wozniak is at the moment because of his problems he had with his spleen last year.
Yeah, I spoke to Adam. He's waiting to get the clearance from the doctor, but he says he's in no pain now. He feels fully fit, but he's just got to get signed off by the doctor. And Zach, he was cleared pretty much before the end of the season, but decided, with the severity of what happened to him with his spleen, that he gave the rest of the season a miss, and he's now fully recovered and no need to go back to the doctors.
And it's great that you've been able to retain almost all of last year's team, although you had that difficult decision to make, Nick Morris or Jason Doyle, and obviously Nick's now going to be riding for the Robins. Looking at the other teams, Jason's now joined Somerset. How do you see all the other teams, and who do you think are going to cause you problems?
I don't really know. There's so many experts out there, just like the experts from last year, really, that had us down for wooden spoonies. So, nothing. I always knew last year we were one rider short. I don't think we're in that position this year. I think we got a fairly good top 5. And obviously if Zach comes back and he was doing what he potentially was doing, beating heat leaders last year, I'm confident that our 6, and I'm sure Mitch, I think there'll be a big improvement in Mitchell this year, especially with the riders around him that will help him. And I think he's a bit fired up because they seem to think that we probably got a few of the weakest reserves in the league, but again, it's always adds fuel to the fire and people's expectations, and I know the riders will be wanting to prove the the so-called experts wrong.
During the winter months, it's recently been announced that things have gone sort of full circle. We're not going to have a new stadium built on the car park. They're going to redevelop the old stadium. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, and I think it's a great idea. It's one that I always thought seemed to make more sense, and what the plans were, all the upheaval, all the demolishment and stuff like that, and rebuilding everything. I'm led to believe they're knocking down the back straight first, and putting up offices over the back there, and I think where the hospitality will go, and I think then the other side will be demolished, and then the new grandstand will be built there. So I think in all, they are slightly shortening the track, but we've got so much of an infield. We've got plenty of room to manoeuvre in there, so it can still make it into a fantastic racing track.
Is this all going to be happening during the season, and will 1 week riders be riding on the bigger track, and then the following week they turn up, the track's shortened? Is that how it's going to work out?
In theory, it sounds like it would happen, but we'll have time on the new track before we ain't just going to go straight out on the new track and not ride it. So I'm sure we'll get a chance to get out there and do some practicing on it. But until we know the full plans and the exact dates of when they're starting, I just, like I said, as Terry said, we'll be happy once we see the diggers going in, bashing a few things around, I think, and also it'll please the fans as well. But until then, we just carry on as we are.
I've been reading on social media of one or two potential issues with objections from people that bought the houses that back onto the what was the old pits. I guess are still the pits at the moment, and they were assuming that the new stadium is going to be built further away from their homes, whereas now it's going to stay where it is. Any thoughts, comments on that?
No, it's not for me to really comment on it. It's quite sad that in life you get the same with pubs. Now all the pubs are getting built up round houses, and people come in and they do a survey. You pay for a survey to do what's there. So if you know there's a pub there, or if you know there's a motor stadium there, theoretically, and all it is that people just come in, and all of a sudden that's something that's been there for such a long time, and then people just think I don't understand people. If you got a problem with it, why would you buy a house next door?
Exactly.
To a nightclub? It's like no different. There's a nightclub, you bought a new house that's been built near a nightclub, but you know it was there, so then you'll complain afterwards.
Yeah, and I'm sure there will be one or two people appearing in windows in months to come, peering out over onto the stadium.
I think there's going to be a big sound barrier going up and stuff like that, but as I said, it's not really for me to comment on it, but it is a bit frustrating when they know that I know that people have gone to look at the houses around there, and I know that people were informed straight away by the salespeople that there is a motor stadium on the doorstep.
Yeah. Okay, now as well as running the South Brook pub, which we'll again come back to in a minute, and running the Swin and Robbins Speedway team, and being a family to your dad to your wonderful family, you're also the Team GB Speedway team manager. This year, things coming up?
Yeah, obviously the World Cup's been knocked on the head this year. I think they're going to do it every other year, which I enjoyed the World Cup. I think, whilst people said it was, they felt it's the same old, but the same old was very, very popular, and it was it wasn't broke, but they want to sort of, freshen it up a little bit. I think it's going to be like the World Games was last year. It'll be a pairs of 3 riders this year.
Yeah.
And obviously then that makes my job a lot harder. Then I've got to pick 3 riders instead of 6 riders. So, it's going to be a lot tougher. Places will be hard to get. I'm sure there'll be a few upset people along the way, but unfortunately, that's why I'm in the job, to make big decisions.
Yeah, and talking of big decision was made at the Wiltshire Sports Awards recently, and you walked away with the Coach Manager of the Year award, which I see is just behind us. Nice little surprise.
Yeah, I guess so. You never know. There's a lot of people out there doing good jobs and that, but I think with the team being written off and the fact that we won the league, obviously probably had a bit more incentive on it. But I've just got the certificate. Unfortunately, we went up on stage to have a photo done with all the nominees and that, and somebody nudged my arm and I dropped the trophy on the floor and smashed it.
Right, now, we are stood in the historic building, the South Brook Inn, which you and your lovely wife Julie took over recently, and you've been a bit busy man, haven't you?
Oh, it's been absolutely chaotic at the moment. They've spent well over 200,000 on upgrades on the pub, new Python systems, new lines, complete refresh of paint all the way through, alarm systems, fire systems, everything, bringing it all up to scratch and that. And they spent a lot of money, and hopefully we'll start reaping the rewards. We've had a good response from the locals. They've been made very welcome. Obviously I've got a young family, so you're always going to get an incident in pub. We had one recently which made most of social media with a 999 Wiltshire, and I heard a couple of people's comments, but I don't think I'd put my family, put them in a place where they're in an environment which would be cause them any harm.
Yeah, brilliant. And I see just behind us, massive big function room as well. As you mentioned, you've already had the Swindon Robin Speedway supporters have had an event here. A few more planned as well.
Yeah. I think this is going to be the base for it now. We'll be having the Grand Prix on as well at the weekends. We've got 3 big projector screens. We've got the massive one in the function room. We've got a projector in here, and we've got a projector in the lounge room. So obviously we've got plenty of space to have. We put all of most sports on. At the moment, rugby's very popular in here. At the weekends, the last couple of weekends have been pretty well jam-packed, so I don't think it'll be any different this weekend.
Okay, and I see you're sporting the one of your Swindon Wildcats T-shirts. I know you're a big supporter of Aaron now and the team, and you're quite involved. You've been driving the minibus a few times as well, and a couple of cup finals to look forward to. Yeah,
no, that's really nice. I mean, obviously, with the success that we had, the boys came up and see us last year, and we've been big friends with the Nels for many, many years from when Steve was playing, and fortunately that friendship has carried on with Aaron and the rest of his family, and the boys. That they always make me very welcome when I go down there. Always pop in the change room, say hello, have a chat with them all. Certainly Sam's a big character in the camp, and it's really good, and it's really nice to see that Swindon's actually having a bit of success in the town, because always getting berated for the lack of success. But we won the league in 2012 and we won it again last year. And it looks like the Wildcats, hopefully, the good luck's rubbed off on the Wildcats, and it'd be nice to see them pick up a trophy this year.
It'd be nice to see one or two of them have a go on a bike round the track.
Yeah, Ryan Aldridge is he keeps nugging at me now, but we've got a couple of things coming up, and I'm going to see how brave he really is. He talks the talk, does Ryan, but we'll see what he's like when he comes off a bike.
Fantastic. And moving from ice hockey to football, I know you're a big Liverpool fan. It's been decent times recently in the Champions League, and you're also a football manager as well. I know that South Brook, as I say, have had teams in the past, but your son's involved in the team, Stratton team.
Yeah, my boys are involved with me and a guy called Pete Nash. We're in Stratton Juniors under 10s. Pete was leaving, and I got kind of asked would I help out. I've run obviously pub teams previously, and I think we were the last team to win the Adva Cup final at the county ground with the Wee Chief. So I've always been involved in some kind of sport, but especially with my boy involved. But the only
doing all right at the moment.
Yeah, they do. We're not the most talented of team. But
what's that? What, Liverpool were you on about that?
No. I was going to talk about Chelsea then, okay, but obviously you're in a drama, aren't you? Yeah. But no, we haven't got the most talented of thing, but they've certainly come on the last season from getting beaten heavily. Now we're winning. We won the winter tournament. We won 5 out of 6 matches. And we finished top of the league in that, so that was a big feather in the boys and girls caps, because we've got a couple of girls in our team as well who are doing exceptionally well. But obviously with me son playing, obviously father son, he doesn't get no favours from dad's always hard on him, so I kind of push Ben across to Pete a little bit, and I kind of focus on the other boys and girls and let Ben with Pete and that, and he kind of keeps me away. Otherwise, when he does something wrong, I'm kind of on him a bit harder than what I would be with the others.
We've mentioned football, we've mentioned the rugby, obviously Speedway, and your connections with the ice hockey. Winter Olympics on at the moment, and I'm thinking ice hockey, Speedway, and about time we saw a little bit of ice Speedway at the Link Centre, perhaps. Could be a new idea.
It could be a new idea. We'll have to. I'm sure we can speak to Steve or something and get something going and
Telford,
Yeah, they should do it at Telford. Maybe we can get the the ice built up again and maybe do a couple of meetings there. I don't know. Well, it's something to think about for the future.
Yeah, it's an idea. Anyway, brilliant, and cross fingers. Good luck with the old South Brook in here. Look forward to a few visits, Steve. Hope you're listening. And cross fingers. Looking forward to another really successful season with the Swindon Robins.
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks for coming.